Here on Wham Baam Dashcam, we've shown you over 1,000 dashcam videos sent in by our fans, and we serve up 20 new ones every week. Today we're showcasing some of the craziest clips we've ever featured, so buckle up for Wham Baam Dashcam's Worst Drivers of South Carolina, Volume 1. Gary was heading home from class when he noticed an SUV ahead of him slowing down to turn. He could tell the SUV would be out of the way before he got there, so he just kept going. Sadly, a different SUV got in the way instead. When the other SUV pulled out in front of Gary, he panicked and tried to swerve around it, but he couldn't avoid a collision. His Volkswagen Jetta spun completely around before landing in a ditch.
I'm glad I have my camera.
After the impact, Gary sat in shock for a while before reaching for his phone and dialing 911. A passing police officer stopped to check on everyone while Gary was checking on the other driver. It turned out the cop was outside his jurisdiction, so he called a South Carolina Highway Patrol officer to assist. All told, Gary was on the side of the road for 2 hours before he was able to get home. The driver of the SUV was uninsured, and his license was suspended as a result of this collision. Sadly, Gary's Jetta was totaled. Sean was cruising through a green light when a Ford driver ran their red light in front of his GMC Sierra. Sean tried to swerve around the sedan, but he wasn't able to avoid a collision. He said he remembers seeing the ground approaching as he realized his truck was starting to roll. Witnesses later informed him his pickup rolled 3 or 4 times before it came to a stop almost 50 feet from the intersection. It came within 15 feet of a power pole before finally stopping in someone's driveway. He also said his phone was ejected through the windshield, but the case somehow protected it from any damage. Thankfully, witnesses called 911 to summon police and paramedics to the scene. Incredibly, Sean had no serious injuries from the collision, and the driver of the Ford refused any medical attention. His truck, on the other hand, was totaled by the Ford driver's insurance provider. Jaden was going home after work, going about 58 miles per hour in a 45 mile per hour zone when another driver pulled out in front of his GMC Yukon. While swerving around the white car, Jaden narrowly avoided hitting a disabled vehicle that was sitting in the center turn lane. Thankfully, no contact was made. This submitter is a trucker who had a Civic driver wander a little too close to his big rig. Our submitter told us the young driver miscalculated his merge. With 16,000 pounds of cargo in his truck, it took him a long time to stop, even standing on the brakes. Thankfully, the other driver's only injury was a nosebleed. He admitted fault and they hugged it out, according to our submitter. Sadly, the Civic was totaled, but our submitter was able to get back to work. Caleb was headed home after visiting his parents when a BMW driver ran a stop sign and turned onto the road in front of him. By the time Caleb realized the BMW wasn't stopping at the stop sign, it was too late for him to slow down from 55 miles per hour. To make matters worse, the BMW driver came to a complete stop before the impact. The South Carolina Highway Patrol responded to the scene, as did the owner of the BMW, who rode over on her bicycle after watching the collision happen from her house close by. What happened next will floor you. Caleb told us the BMW owner accused him of smelling like alcohol and asked if he had been drinking. He replied that he had not been, but he also smelled alcohol. The trooper then realized the BMW driver smelled like alcohol, not Caleb. The trooper gave the BMW driver a field sobriety test. We don't know how he did, but Caleb did tell us the trooper arrested him after the test was over. Caleb's Kia Forte was totaled, but we only wish that was the end of his troubles. The BMW owner's insurance provider tried to blame Caleb for the collision, and when he pointed out the BMW driver had been arrested, they said they couldn't find the arrest report and were still going to find him partially liable. He called the Highway Patrol and had the arrest report 5 minutes later. When he sent it to the insurance company, they told him they'd accidentally been looking for it in the wrong county. They ended up accepting responsibility. Chris was driving along when the driver of a Nissan Murano got impatient with the traffic ahead of them and decided they'd rather be in Chris's lane. They then merged right without checking to see if the lane was clear. Chris swerved away and hit the brakes, narrowly avoiding a collision. The driver then continued to weave through traffic as Chris contacted the authorities to report their dangerous driving. Sadly, he had to head home before he got to see if anything else happened. Chris is actually one of our Platinum Patreon supporters. Come join our patron-only Discord server and say hi! Brandon was driving his Ram 3500 in South Carolina when a minivan suddenly rear-ended him, not once, not twice, but 3 times. After both drivers had come to a stop, the minivan driver fled the scene, but Brandon took off after him. He called 911 and continued pursuing the minivan until highway patrol officers were able to take over. Brandon told us troopers chased the minivan for 12 miles until the driver crashed into a parked vehicle. He was then arrested and charged with driving under the influence. Brandon filed a claim with his own insurance provider, who then got in touch with the other driver's insurance provider to pay for the claim. Thankfully, nobody was seriously injured in the collision. Thomas was waiting at a traffic light when he watched a driver turn in front of oncoming traffic, forcing it to stop and causing a rear-end collision.
Oh, that was an accident.
After a white SUV was forced to stop, a gold sedan with large aftermarket wheels rear-ended the SUV, then sped off, making this a hit-and-run collision. Thomas stopped and shared his dashcam footage with the SUV driver. Sadly, the sedan's license plate number isn't visible in the video. If you have any information or can identify the vehicle, send us an email and we'll pass the info along. Ty's watched a black Chrysler make a right turn in the rain before spinning out of control and climbing a traffic island. Ty's wife watched a Chrysler driver lose control on a wet road and come within inches of smashing into stopped traffic. And no, it wasn't the same Chrysler, unless the owner changed the license plate. Anyway, Ty's sons Micah and Luca wanted to shout us out for convincing Ty's to replace his GMC Yukon with a Tesla. And he promises there are more videos to come. Thanks, Ty's. Derek was making a delivery during rush hour when he watched a tow truck slam on the brakes for a red light. From back here, it's hard to see what happened. Let's see what Derek discovered when the light turned green and he went around the tow truck. Yikes! It looks like Honda bumps happen even when Hondas are being towed. Derek told us he returned to the scene after making his delivery and provided his dashcam footage to the police. Reese spotted a Mustang driver doing what Mustang drivers do. Since nobody sent us a Tesla behaving badly this week, I guess this video will have to do. Reese just kept driving and told us this car was obviously a midlife crisis purchase. This submitter watched an SUV driver sideswipe a flatbed trailer while both vehicles were turning left onto a highway on-ramp. Our submitter pointed out that oncoming traffic had backed up and multiple drivers had left their vehicles sticking into the intersection. When the SUV driver tried to go around one, she invaded the other lane, causing the collision. Both drivers pulled over and our submitter followed and called 911. Thankfully, nobody was injured. He wanted to remind our viewers to be patient and leave truckers extra room during turns. Shayna was about to follow traffic into an intersection with a green light when a car from the left came flying into the intersection, tires screeching. The red light runner was able to slow down enough to avoid slamming into any other vehicles before they weaved their way through traffic to continue. Shayna said watching just one of our videos convinced her to get a dash cam. She told us it's like insurance you only pay for once and she has no regrets. If you still need a dash cam, check the description to get a discount on the models our team uses in our own vehicles. The Smith fam was on their way home from a flea market when the driver of a pickup truck pulled out in front of them, and they had no chance to avoid hitting it. Our submitters immediately called the police, then filed an insurance claim the next day. Their insurance provider totaled their Toyota Highlander, and the pickup driver was found entirely responsible for causing the collision. Michael was heading home at 1 a.m. after making a DoorDash delivery. When he slowed down for traffic ahead of him on the highway, he lost control and slid into the concrete median barrier. After hitting the median barrier, Michael's Nissan Altima was T-boned by a Toyota 4Runner, which then veered off into the forest before hitting a tree. Michael was found at fault for the collision, and his Altima was totaled. Chris was headed to Walmart with his girlfriend when an oncoming pickup driver failed to yield and pulled across his lane. Chris hit the brakes and swerved while honking, barely avoiding a collision with the pickup truck. He then pulled into a gas station so his girlfriend could get some air and calm down. Gray was running late for work when a Nissan Altima merged into the side of his Chevy Cruze before driving off. Gray pulled over and called the South Carolina Highway Patrol, and he was able to use his dashcam footage to provide them with the Altima's license plate number. They looked up the driver's insurance info and gave it to him. Sadly, when Gray called the insurance provider later that same day, they told him the insurance policy was no longer active. Chris is a pizza delivery driver, and he's also one of our Platinum Patreon supporters. He was working when an oncoming driver in a straight-only lane decided she wanted to turn left instead. After witnessing the collision, Chris called the Somerville police. He sent texts to his customers to let them know he'd be late before giving copies of his dashcam footage to the police and to the victim. Even after all that, Chris told us the pies were still on time. One of the customers even tipped him extra for keeping them in the loop. Way to go, Chris.
Hey Ben, don't forget to mention that Patreon supporters get exclusive access to the Wham Bam Discord server where they can chat with members of the Wham Bam team.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot. Thanks, Chris. A link to our Patreon campaign is down in the description. Luna was taking his wife to a medical appointment when they watched another driver cross every lane of the highway to reach an exit, then hit a patch of dirt and almost lose control.
Oh my.
Continue on South Carolina 277 North for 2 miles.
Luna told us the other driver proceeded to pass traffic on the shoulder and speed well above the 70-mile-per-hour speed limit. He also asked us to shout out his wife Kelsey. They watch every new episode from all the Wham Bam channels. Arthur was making his way through a parking lot when an SUV suddenly backed into his Subaru Forester. Thankfully, the collision was minor and didn't injure anyone, not even the 6-year-old in the back seat of the SUV. Arthur exchanged insurance information with the driver, but when police arrived, Arthur says she lied to them. She told a responding officer she'd already backed out and was preparing to drive forward when Arthur rear-ended her SUV. Thankfully, Arthur's dashcam footage was able to prove what had really happened. Her insurance provider paid $6,500 to repair Arthur's Subaru. If you need a dashcam for your ride, you'll find our recommendations in the video description, along with exclusive coupon codes just for our fans. Penny's mother was bringing her brother home from school when a Honda driver made an unprotected left turn across her lane, forcing her to slam on the brakes. Thankfully, no collision occurred. Right afterward, Penny's mom said, "That's going straight to Wham Bam." They watch our videos together as a family, which is so cool. Before anyone says she should have stopped rather than proceed through the yellow light, let me point out that it was only yellow for half a second before her front bumper crossed the stop bar. This emitter was proceeding through a green light when he watched another driver run their red light before T-boning an oncoming car. Our submitter pulled over to wait for the police, then provided the responding officer with a copy of his dashcam video. Thankfully, it doesn't look like anyone involved in the collision was seriously injured. Zach was driving in Greenville when a pickup driver started having engine trouble, coughing and sputtering black smoke as she tried hard to accelerate. As they approached an intersection, she suddenly swerved in front of Zach. After nearly colliding with Zach's Honda Clarity, the pickup driver took off again, oblivious to the fact that Zach had spared her pickup from damage. But her underpowered engine was still having problems as she continued. Brendan was on his way to work when another driver cut out in front of him. When Brendan hit the brakes, he was rear-ended by a BMW driver who promptly drove around him and fled the scene. State troopers responded, as did Brendan's aunt and uncle who live nearby. Since the BMW driver was never located, Brendan's insurance provider is paying $6,500 to fix his Chevy Malibu. Did we mention this happened on Brendan's birthday, which also happened to be Easter this year? Happy birthday, I guess. We didn't get you anything, sorry. Jessica was on her way to work on a Tuesday morning when the semi-truck ahead of her ran over a tire and sent it bouncing off the side of a pickup truck and onto the back of another semi. Jessica told us that she ended up passing that other semi about 20 minutes later and the stowaway tire was still there. According to her, nobody involved stopped or even slowed down, and she still has no idea where the tire came from.
Wham! Bam, we got a Patreon man. Please support the show.